I guess I should start off by saying that I don't really know who Hank Green is. Do I sound out of touch by saying that? I know he's really popular. Like, I can tell he's got over 3 million subscribers. I've seen his face before, but I don't really know who he is, to be honest. I think really in order to understand him, I think I do need to watch one of his videos. Before we do that, let's discuss what happened. So basically, this guy, Hank Green, he is a ginormous YouTuber. He has over 3 million subscribers. He has been around for 16 years, it seems like. Doesn't look like he was like big back then, 16 years ago. These seem like little vlogs. So I don't know when he started doing like content the way it would look like now. Yeah, these are more like personal life vlogs all the way back then. But anyway, like he's been around for a while. Like he's a big player in this whole YouTube game. It's not unlike the Ava video. Have you ever seen the Ava video with AI SpongeBob channel forgets to delete ChatGPT response from the video? One of Ava's most popular AI videos, actually. And it's basically where Cartoonology, infamous AI channel, said, let me rewrite that for you in a more conversational tone. It was like that, but like an actual guy said it. So it was something like that. I don't know the exact thing that happened and what it was and what the footage was. I produced this under a ton of pressure, so I went and checked my process from start to finish. I did use ChatGPT for research on this script, and watching it, I definitely get an AI feel, so I think it's fair to say I was relying too much on generated notes. That's a thing I've been doing, and it's a bad habit of mine. It's a bad habit at a time when I've overcommitted myself. But I just went to the notes and the script for this, and neither contained the "I appreciate the pushback" line. So that particular moment was an ad lib in reference to my guest pushing back on me, saying that words are purely made up. So what he said was, I appreciate the feedback, or I appreciate the pushback. And that's what people thought was AI. Okay, so what he's claiming, Hank Green, and again, I don't know what's true, but what he's claiming is basically the thing that incited all of this, him saying, I appreciate the pushback, is not anything to do with AI, but because that made people talk about him in relationship to AI, they went back and saw other AI tells in his content that caused him to admit it. That's what I'm pretty sure this says. I guess for me, I don't think I need to make a judgment on whether or not I believe him. I don't think that really matters. I don't know a lot about this guy. I think you can make that choice for yourself. I think that you're smart. I think that my audience is smart. That's why you watch me, because you're smart. Or maybe you're not smart. Maybe you want to watch me because you're not smart and you want to become smart. That's great. I'm glad you're here. And if that is why you're here, then I still think you'll be able to make your own judgment. I don't need to tell you if this is true or not true. I don't know. I don't know the man. But obviously there are two possibilities here. One, it actually was an AI tell, and he is backtracking to be like, oh, okay, sometimes I use ChatGPT for research, and like he's trying to make it seem like it's not as bad as it is, but he still has to own up to some of it because he definitely got caught. So if he denies all of it, it's just going to get worse. So he has to acknowledge some of it, or it's actually true. And he said that thing. Everyone thought the thing he said was AI. It actually wasn't AI, but that made people investigate, and then he had to own up to it. So let's actually watch a Hank Green video, because I need to have an idea of who he is, because I don't really know who he is at all. I think I'll just watch a recent one. I'm not really going to try to look for AI tells. I feel like I won't really find any. I bet it's probably hard to find an AI tell. If I were to guess, I think the people who called him out would have been people who looked really deeply. So I'm not watching this to look for AI tells and try to call him out. I'm just watching it to get an idea of who this guy is and the things he says and what I think of the things he says, regardless of AI's existence. Let's go with why is everything boring now? I think that's kind of an ironic one for someone who just admitted to using AI, that they're discussing why is everything boring now. So let's just take a look at what his content is and what it's like.
Just in Paris for a week, and there's a lot of problems with Paris. I have lived my entire life on grids, and there's great things about grids. And honestly,
okay, I get what he's setting up, though. He's setting up something. I believe he's talking about YouTube content, and he's talking about optimization and how optimization can make YouTube content worse because you're trying to optimize everything for like the audience. And sometimes a little bit of imperfection, a little bit of being yourself is better for an audience experience. I think he is approaching a subject that has a lot of nuance, and I think he's approaching it quite well. So I can see why people respect this guy just with the way that he is approaching this subject. Yeah, I mean, like, I think about that a lot when I do my videos, where it's like, I will often optimize my videos in the sense that I know which subjects are more popular with the viewers. On the podcast channel, it's Sponge Truths, Content Farms. On the main channel, it's modern SpongeBob videos. But beyond that, I like to make sure that I do stuff that isn't just the optimal thing. I recently did my Twinkle Twinkle Patrick Star theory. That was a little bit of a deviation from just criticizing a modern SpongeBob video. I did a theory, I told a story, and I did what my content is, but through something that was unique and new and fun. That was me not trying to optimize. That was me trying to do something that felt right for me, that I felt that my core audience would appreciate, and perhaps the wider audience might not have had as much of an interest in. And actually that video is kind of even overperformed beyond that. I did a video on the Moana live action remake recently that didn't do as well as my modern SpongeBob stuff, but it was a subject that I really cared about and that I really felt was something that, again, the core audience would have wanted. It wasn't as optimized. If I optimized my content, every video would be something modern SpongeBob bad. And I actually, because I look forward into the future, I see how long can I keep that up. I would see that if I optimized all of my content, I would eventually burn out. I would eventually run out of SpongeBob episodes to talk about. I would eventually get too known for being just the modern SpongeBob bad guy. So by doing a little less optimization, I can do things a little better. Anyway, that's kind of my take on exactly what Hank Green is about to talk about.
Paris, oftentimes I'm like, God, it would be nice if this were a grid. Everyone would be a little less confused and we'd all get to the places.
Okay, so he's comparing it like Paris to, I guess, New York City. New York City was built specifically to be on a grid because New York City was built centuries after Paris. Paris was a bunch of villages that formed into a city. So compared to New York City, Paris is much less optimized. So he's probably going to say something along the lines of Paris has a lot of charm for being not optimized. That would be my guess.
No one actually wants Paris to be on a grid. The thing that you like about Paris is that it's not on a grid, is that it's weird, is that there's all...
True. I could see that. I could totally see that. I mean, at the same time, I also like New York City because it's on a grid. You know, you could be like, oh, it's so easy to get to places in New York City. That's probably going to be his point, is that there's a place for both things.
I love this about music. There's so much music that gets its like edges rounded off as time goes on, and then those people can become more popular. But if you listen to early things, it's just weirder.
You could also maybe even apply this to like classic SpongeBob to modern SpongeBob. Modern SpongeBob is so optimized in a specific way. They fit the exact formula. They always do kind of the same sorts of things. There's only so much they can do. Whereas with like classic SpongeBob, they kind of were doing whatever they wanted. So there's a lot to say here. Like, I think I get why people respect him. I don't need to like respond to this video if I'm just agreeing with everything he says, but I think I'm kind of getting at who this guy is. Let's get into why someone like this feels the need to lie about using AI. So we've already kind of set the scene of what this guy's videos are. So they're kind of generally science-based, I'd say. A lot of science stuff. Definitely a little bit of like, not explicitly like politics. Let's take this at face value. Let's say that Hank Green tried to use AI responsibly for research, as he said. And again, I don't believe that there's a way you can use AI responsibly. I believe that the second that you open the app or go into the prompt with the intention of that prompt contributing to your content, unless that content is, I am criticizing AI and I'm showing my audience how AI works to educate them on how bad it is. That's the only exception. Literally zero others. So let's say someone does that and they have the mindset of, I am trying to just speed up my process, but I obviously don't want AI to make all of my videos. Like, because this dude is not Sponge Truths, obviously. This dude is not a grifter or a tech bro or I want to make as much money as I can getting people to just sit and watch my videos. There is no way that, and if it is, then wow, what a facade. But there is no way that that is what this man's deal is. And I can tell that from 3 minutes of his video, that there is no way that that is his intention. He clearly cares a lot about the things that he talks about, and he cares a lot about what he's doing. I see that in him, and I won't take that away from him because of this, as much as this really should harm his credibility, at least, you know. They use the thing, okay, and they think that it helps them. Okay. So let's say that even does help you. I don't understand how AI would help you if you were doing this channel. That's the part that I don't get. Like, what would improve? Like this is a smart guy. I mean, he's got to be. He talks about like science. I mean, maybe he's not. I don't know. I didn't watch his videos, but I feel like if these videos are properly going over the concepts that he's presenting, which, judging by their amount of views and how popular he is, I'm pretty sure he approaches these concepts correctly. So this dude is smart. What would AI even help him with? I don't get it. I don't know. Like, for me, all right, so let's take me, for example. Let's take my channel and my videos. So I cover media, mostly SpongeBob. But hey, we're moving towards some other stuff. We're broadening our horizons a little bit. I discuss media and movies and TV shows, and I critique them. And I'm also very anti-AI on my other channel, you know, my Maximum Family Podcast. I'm very anti-AI. So people know for sure that I don't use AI because I'm so against it. I think it's a bit cocky for me to say I'm the most anti-AI YouTuber, but I'm up there. I'm one of the most anti-AI YouTubers. So people know that I'm not AI because I'm so against it. I'm not really just against AI, like for all of the moral reasons and all of the this and all of that. But like the reason that I'm against AI is because it doesn't do anything good. Like, that's why I'm against it. Like, if AI could help me, then I wouldn't be against it, because then it would be helpful. But it can't be helpful. It's incapable of being helpful because it removes human intent from the process. So, like, when I say that, oh, I wouldn't be against it if it helps, well, there's no version where it helps, because its whole point is that it does it for you. And it never is supposed to be done for you, the stuff that I do. So there is no world, there is no universe where that exists. It's like saying how it's like trying to imagine a color that doesn't exist, or a sense that we don't have. They don't exist, and you can't even imagine it because it doesn't exist. That would be an AI that is useful, is like a color that doesn't exist. I come up against the whole, it's hard for me to get videos out. I get a video out generally like once a week. I want to get videos out twice a week. There are times where I really want to do 2 videos a week. It doesn't really happen often. There's a couple of times where it did. Like, one great one was, this run of videos was really good for me. This Family Guy video, this SpongeBob video, and then this SpongeBob video. I believe these 3 videos were 8 days apart. I was on it that week. I got three videos, all over 100K views out in about a week. It was an incredible week for me. Sometimes I do feel that same pressure. That whole, like, for example, this week, I did this video. Modern SpongeBob made the same episode twice in a row. This video came out on Wednesday of this past week. As I'm streaming right now, it's Sunday, August 2nd, after I did this video. I wanted another video out yesterday, and it didn't happen. It just didn't. And I almost thought, well, maybe I could get a video out today. I'm currently working on one. I have one filmed, almost fully written. What I do with my videos a lot is I will film portions of it, and then I will write parts that are not filmed, and I will just record those voiceover only. So it's so I'm working on a next video like right now, but I didn't make it. I didn't get it out yesterday. I didn't get it out by today because the video itself is a very big video. It's actually, to give you a little sneak peek, it's the analysis of every Family Guy Road to episode. So it's an analysis of 8 episodes. Actually 9, because I also talk about another one that's not a road to it. So it's the whole thing. And it just was a big project. I just wasn't able to do it this week. And for me, I just have to accept that, because there's nothing I can do about that other than grind it out, other than, not take breaks or do this, because maybe if I like took 0 breaks this week, maybe if I didn't unwind at all, maybe I would have gotten that video out. But that wouldn't be fair to myself. You know, I gotta live my life at some point. I can't just burn myself out. And also, I do feel like it can wait a couple days. It's gonna be fine. The channel's doing great. Like, I don't need to rush myself to be like, the world needs to know my opinion on the Family Guy Road 2 episodes, right? They can wait. You can wait 3 days. And I'm aiming for it to come out on Wednesday. And if it doesn't come out on Wednesday, it comes out on Saturday. And the video that's going to be after that, which is going to be about that new modern SpongeBob episode with the chocolate lady, then that video will come out later after that. And that's fine. And that happens. But I get that it gets scary. It really does. It's like, oh, is the audience going to forget me? Oh, am I going to? Because especially even like with Hank Green, I mean, he's so much bigger than I am, you know, doing it for so long. When his videos are getting hundreds of thousands of views, even some getting into the millions, like you probably feel like you don't want to fall behind. I don't know if he like pays people. I mean, it seems like he's mostly just talking. Maybe he has people who works with him on writing and maybe editing too. Maybe he has an editor, but like he doesn't seem to have a lot more than that he's talking into a camera. I mean, I guess he has images and stuff. He probably has an editor. Even for lesser editing like this, he probably still has an editor. So yeah, I think that this person has found himself in a bit of a place where he feels a lot of pressure to put stuff out there. It's a lot of pressure to be a YouTuber. I mean, I feel that way with 23,000 subscribers. I can't imagine what it would feel like with 3 million, what your thing is. It's no excuse for what he did. But also the one issue that I guess I'm coming up against is that, so when I see that I can't get a video out on time, I just kind of have to deal with that reality. Because to me, AI is not an option. It's not even an option just morally. And because like I would have to lie to my audience and, you know, they would get mad at me because I'm so anti-AI and all this. And like, obviously that's the case. Like, of course I can't do that for that reason because I'm against it morally. It would take my reputation and I'd have to lie all the time. Like lying sucks. I can't imagine lying to an audience. Oh my goodness. And worry about them finding out when they can go in your video and pick it apart. I can't imagine that. Do you just hate AI in general or just generative AI? Now it's pretty much just generative AI, but like AI is kind of a meaningless term. You know, like AI's really lost its meaning, but like if you're referring to like how there's like an AI that like, you know, is able to notice weeds and big things of crops and detect cancer cells or whatever, like it's whatever. I think the fact that we call that AI, like that we call the thing that detects cancer cells AI, and that we call the thing that generates images AI, I think the fact that those are called the same thing is a part of the scheme to normalize the bad one. So it's already kind of a problem. To give you a simple answer to your question, just generative AI, sure. There are parts of like non-generative AI that can certainly have problems, but like generative AI is the one where I'm like against in like the most extreme capacity. I disagree with you on saying it's a scheme because they're trained the same way. Well, okay, it's both. Like this is where nuance comes in. Like it's both. So like you can reasonably call it that because of the machine learning, but the reason that they lean into calling it that, the same thing, is for confusion. I talked about this with my Ozzy Fox. This is the Ozzy Fox discussion where they called the Ozzy Fox animation thing AI when it's really not AI in the way that we think of. Like, you got to think of how people think of things when they see them. When an average person hears the word AI, they think of it generates it all on its own and there's very little or no human involvement. And that's what people thought with Ozzy Fox. And that was the problem with Ozzy Fox, is that people thought that when they saw it, when that's not what it was. And that does two problems. One, it normalizes AI being used at all because people don't understand it. And when people don't understand it, you can get away with bad things more easily. And it also stops us from having an actual conversation about what the Ozzy Fox technology really was and the pros and cons of that technology. But watch my Ozzy Fox video for that. So yeah, like for me, like I know that AI wouldn't help me. It wouldn't make my videos better. It wouldn't really speed them up either. Let's say I succumbed to the siren song of AI on my Family Guy Road 2 videos, and I typed in a prompt and I said, can you write me a review for, you know what? Let's do it right now. Let's see it right now. You know what? Let's compare my script. I'll show you my script for it. All right, so this is my Family Guy Road to script. Some of it's purple. The purple is the parts that I filmed. And the black text is the parts that I need to record. So that's why some of the text is purple and some of it is black. All right, so I currently am on the writing process. So you'll see here's Road to Europe. Here's Road to Rupert. And you'll see that after Road to Rupert, there's only some purple because the purple is the parts that I filmed because I already filmed this. So I only really got to this is Road to Rhode Island. It's longer because it's the first one. And this is Road to Europe. And this is Road to Rupert. So I haven't written Road to Rupert yet. Oh no. It's going to take me so long to write Road to Rupert. I know I'm going to use AI to help me. I'm having trouble writing a video where I discuss all of the Family Guy Road to episodes. Would you be able to... Let's think of it like I'm responsible. Oh wait, no, I don't want it to give me my critiques for me. So why don't I just do it for research? Would you be able to provide a summary of the episode? Yeah, let's even give it the benefit of the doubt that I don't even want it to do the critiques for me. Let's do it as good faith as we possibly can. Oh wait, I didn't say which episode. Oh, I screwed that up. Oh, it did it on all of them. Look at that. Can you specifically do a detailed one just on Road to Rupert? If you hate AI, then why are you using it? To show people how it works. I don't use AI to write my videos. Showing people how it works so we can get an idea of what Hank Green's mindset was. Because this is probably a little bit of what Hank Green did, is he probably wanted to have the thing give him information and then he would form his own opinions on it. That's why when I wrote the prompt, I only had it say, give me the structure of the episode, not give me opinions on the episode, because that's not what Hank Green did. Or that's not at least what Hank Green admitted to doing. He said he used it for research. So this would be the equivalent of me doing that in my video. So I am showing you what AI does to demonstrate how this would negatively affect my videos, how this would make my videos worse. Okay, so it breaks down just the structure, the climax in Colorado, the confrontation. They track down the buyer, a rich snob named Stanford who bought Rupert for his young son. Okay, so basically what this did... Oh, look at this. Oh, this is big. This is a big deal. All right, we'll get to this in a second because this might be... So what it did right here is it gave me the structure of the episode. Gave me the structure of Road to Rupert. Now, why would I use this when I have the episode? I could just log in to my Disney Plus and Hulu, and which is what I was doing yesterday when I wrote my Road to Rhode Island and Road to Europe sections. First of all, I watched the episodes initially and I took some notes. Then as I was writing, I pulled up the Hulu with the Family Guy episode. And I went back and forth between the episode and the thing, and I looked at the episode itself. Now, the reason why what I did is better than doing this is because when I looked at the episode, I would find things with the episode. With this, it's now controlled through, everything is filtered through the AI. Is this perhaps faster? I don't know. I don't even think this is faster. I feel like you could just, I don't know. I don't even think I can give it that. Like, I just don't see how this would really help me very much, because this is just the recapping. You know, this is because I barely recap in my stuff. I only recap when it's really absolutely necessary. Okay. So when I was looking at the Road to Rhode Island, when I was watching through, I noticed as I was looking at it through this analytical lens and clicking through that one of the things that happens in Road to Rhode Island is Brian says in the therapist scene that he has abandonment issues. And I realized that Road to Rhode Island is about Brian and Stewie becoming friends. So the fact that the character flaw for Brian is that he has abandonment issues is a part of how Brian and Stewie became friends. And I connected those things by watching the episode and challenging my intellect to come up with that myself. AI overview like this would have kind of taken that away from me. And obviously, this misses something. Like, look at this. This is a whole episode of Family Guy, and it's 2 points here, 3 points here, 3 points here, and then subplot 2 points here. If you compare that to watching the actual episode, there's more in the actual episode. If I'm looking through the episode, there's something that I'm going to see in looking through the episode that is not here. So I'd be shooting myself in the foot by using this. But here's another thing that I just noticed. So all I asked for was, can you specifically do a detailed one just on Road to Rupert? I specifically asked for a summary of the episode with key plot points. That is all I asked for. Summary of the episode with key plot points. I asked for information, advanced search. I'm not opposed to AI being used as advanced search. I refuse to use it for that purpose because it tries to talk to you, because it tries to be generative. I just have to search for stuff the old-fashioned way. Could there maybe be a time where we have advanced search with the machine learning that is AI that I think should be called something else because the term AI is completely tainted? Absolutely. I think machine learning, machine searching, I think that stuff would be revolutionary. Doesn't exist in the right way right now. And I don't think you should use AI for advanced search, even if it is somewhat capable of doing that. So I only asked for information. But then it did this. Key tropes and structural highlights for your video. The animation highlight Gene Kelly homage. One of the most famous visual sequences in Family Guy history occurs during the helicopter heist. Stewie dances alongside a live-action Gene Kelly in a recreation of the famous scene from the 1945 film Anchors Aweigh. Why it matters. It showcases the show's willingness to commit heavily to a detailed frame-by-frame homage animation rather than simple quick cutaways. Okay. So what if I put this in my Road to video? What's funny is that this exact animation highlight, because I do remember it, I'm actually not even going to mention this in my video. Well, I might mention it in the context of that every Family Guy Road to episode has like a dance and musical number. But I'm not going to mention this, and that it showcases the show's willingness to commit to heavily detailed frame by frame homage animation rather than simple quick cutaways, blah, blah, blah. But what if I was convincing myself that I used AI responsibly and I took this? The point of it giving me this is for me to put it in my video. That's why it gave this to me, so that I could say this. Is this me? Does this communicate me? I didn't come up with this. I didn't think of this. This isn't something that I really thought about. It's not even really that great of a point. Yeah, it's a more detailed rather than simple quick cutaways. Like Family Guy, first of all, I actually can debunk this because Family Guy does stuff like this all the time. Heavily detailed frame by frame homage animation rather than simple quick cutaways. That's kind of like the giant chicken fight, you know, like it does things that go on for a really long time instead of simple quick cutaways. Yeah, it's sometimes just a waste time in the episode. And I think that the Gene Kelly thing kind of was that in Road to Rupert, as much as it is a nice little sequence. It's a better way of doing it than most things like it, but you know, it was to take up time. The shift in Stewie and Brian's dynamic. Unlike earlier Road to episodes where Stewie is still largely bent on world domination or matrix level schemes, Road to Rupert highlights his vulnerability. That's not exactly accurate. I actually did talk about how Stewie changed from world domination Stewie, but Road to Rupert doesn't do that. So this is sensationalizing. This is acting like the difference in Stewie as a character has to do with this episode when it doesn't. Character insight. Rupert represents Stewie's last remaining link to actual infancy. Brian stepping up to help shows the maturing bond where Brian acts as a protecting older brother figure rather than just a cynical straight man. Yeah, that's false. Brian has already been shown to be that before this episode. So that doesn't, so it's acting like this episode was a big change. Like, I will address that Stewie stopped being like an evil mastermind because I talk about the early Road to episodes and there's like certain jokes in like Road to Rhode Island. I'll show you the part that I addressed it actually in my script here. So I say, Road to Rhode Island doesn't have a whole lot of evil Stewie wants to kill Lois in it. I mean, there's the one bit in the airport where he has the weapons in his bag and he distracts the TSA agents. But other than that, this episode focuses a lot more on Stewie just being kind of a troublemaker rather than outright evil. And this establishing scene with the necklace shows us that. I'm talking about a cutaway where Stewie throws his grandmother's necklace into a maid's pocket and says, "That'll be good dinner time entertainment," or something like that. I think it's not a coincidence that in this episode that is meant to show Stewie as more of a character rather than a caricature would tone down his evilness in favor of mischievousness. And it's an indication of how later on in the show's run, they would drop evil Stewie pretty much entirely. So see how this is a much better way of saying kind of generally this. And I'll admit that there's similarities. That what I'm saying is such a well-known, understood thing about Stewie as a character that AI's picked up on a little bit of it. What AI can never replicate is that Stewie dropped a lot of his world dominationness in Road to Rhode Island because they wanted to highlight him more as a character. And this just kind of shows that he is different. It identifies that Stewie is different, but it doesn't identify why. And that's where something like this fails. And if I had used this, if I had taken this into my own thing, if I had copy and pasted this into my Chapter 3 Road to Rupert, and then I tried to take out all the AI stuff and put just my insight, I'd probably be able to fool people. I'd probably get around it somehow, There certainly would be tells, but the real tell would just be that the video would be weaker. The video would be weaker because I would have this thing that was not a conclusion that I came to myself. The thing that I say up here about how Stewie's a different character because of the whole them wanting him to be more of a character is something that I really came to myself from the whole thinking about the episode deeply, from not relying on these AI things. Hank Green says, "I have been using AI to locate papers and other resources for learning about topics." So this is similar to what alternate universe me who uses AI did, where I used AI to write my Road to Rupert section of my video. Oh, I just wanted to get the structure, but I ask it for the structure. And then this comes in. This stuff that I didn't ask for. It's just there. Subverting the climax, the shift in Stewie and Brian's dynamic, all of these very shallow takes that will certainly not really be in my video. I have a much better thing to say about this than what this has to give me. But if I went off of this structure because I wanted to save time, then I'm already off in a different direction. And Hank Green says later, "Mostly, I need to come to terms with the fact that the level of dopamine I've been getting from interacting with LLMs is not healthy for me or good for the world." So when he says this, I have to assume that the dopamine is this kind of thing. Like, this is just a worse, faster version of me watching the episode and getting the stuff from it. You would not want me to do this instead of watching the videos. You would rather wait for me to do the video right, and you get it when you get it. That's what you want as the audience, because you're getting a better video. If I used this in tandem with writing the script, instead of watching the episode in tandem with my script, you would get a worse product. But you probably wouldn't be able to tell that I used AI, which is why I'm glad that I'm so anti-AI, so you know that I'm not doing this stuff. But then there's this. And this stuff, I feel, if I used this, even if I tried to write around it, I think that it would be known that I used AI. If I used this and tried to do a second draft around it, I think that would out me. And I think that's what happened to Hank Green. But this also is the dopamine. This is the dopamine. Hank Green, he's putting out a lot of videos. And I think this dopamine is leaning into a nervousness about being able to keep up with let's see, he posts once a week videos that seem to be highly researched. I mean, the level, like, it's not like, and I'm comparing it to my Family Guy video, the amount of research that you have to do for scientific videos, for video, like, these videos need much more sources. And I think the dopamine is he at first was trying to be responsible and just get his papers, which already that's bad, by the way, because AI's, Again, similar to how if I use this for my Family Guy video, I would look at this and then I would not look at the episode. And then there are things that I would miss in the episode that I could have used and it would have made the video better. It's the same thing with Hank Green. The AI gives him a list of papers because he didn't look for those papers himself, because he didn't go through the regular process of looking for papers. There are going to be things that he missed. But then from there, you get this. You get the stuff that gives you a little more info. And that's what he was referring to the dopamine. One thing that AI does that hooks people is it's giving you something that feels new immediately. It gives you the same feeling of when a new person posts, except you feel like you're making it happen. It doesn't feel like you're creating it yourself. And I think that people who actually feel like they're creating when they prompt AI are completely delusional. And the reason they feel that way is because they've never actually created anything themselves and they don't know what that feels like. They are not the same feeling. But I would say that what AI feels like to most people who get this dopamine rush, it's almost as if they were able to tell a content creator what to make and then it gets made immediately. It would basically be like I get comments on my videos that are like, can you cover this SpongeBob episode? So it's basically like if someone said to me, hey, can you cover this SpongeBob episode? And then my video on that episode is created immediately. That's what it would feel like. Except the only difference is that because it's not a person, it's of much lower quality. However, if that's all you're getting, the instant gratification outweighs the quality. The fact that you are getting it immediately makes you ignore that it's of lower quality. And I think that's the dopamine that Hank Green is talking about. I think that's what hooked him. And I think that's why there were AI tells in his videos that people were able to figure out. So let's talk about this statement. I'm not a pure AI hater. I think you need to be a pure AI hater to be even remotely respected as a content creator. I think I would accept nothing less. I think you shouldn't either. I really do. I spoke positively of Hank Green. I still think that there's definitely positives to him. I think that because of that and that alone, you should think less of him. And you should think less of anyone who is not an AI hater. Not neutral, not, no, I think that that is the threshold. If you're a content creator or someone who is in any way in an artistic space, I think that you need to, at some point, find some kind of way of saying that you are an AI hater. Because if you don't, I don't think your audience can ever fully trust you. Because think about it, like he still is not fully owning up to this. I don't know how much Hank Green understands what he did wrong, or if he's just seeing that there is people who are mad about it. I don't really know. I don't know who he is enough to really make that judgment. Yeah, so it's kind of a tricky thing because, like, what if you're a channel that doesn't really talk about AI? Like, for me, I talk about media. Like, my whole thing, it just is intertwined with AI. So I'm not saying that, like, if someone doesn't literally have, like, if someone doesn't have, like, a 44-minute video about how much they hate AI like I did, like, I don't think you need to, like, block anyone who doesn't have this, But also at the same time, I do think you pretty much have to be an AI hater in order to have even an ounce of respect in the artistic industry. Which brings me to AI Wars. With their brand of insufferability, nothing productive ever happens on AI Wars. Yeah, nothing productive happens on AI Wars, but something productive happens when my channel looks at AI Wars and I debunk all of their bad arguments. That's the productive part of AI Wars. It's disappointing how the Hank Green situation feels a lot like purity testing. I've just been reading through numerous comments on the recent Hank Green situation about his AI usage, and I'm fairly neutral, former anti-AI, and that, so they're pro-AI. Neutrality exists if you've never thought about it. That's the only time neutrality exists. If you think I'm neutral, you're not. If you don't think anything, you're neutral. So when I say that when I make videos about AI, where I argue about AI, there are three kinds of people who can watch my anti-AI videos. Pro-AI people who already agree with me, but are getting some better arguments to form, and that has positive outcomes. There are anti-AI people who disagree with me, and because they are wrong, everyone who is wrong, everyone who holds a wrong position, only holds that position out of either ignorance or malice, because there's no other reason why someone would hold a wrong position, because it's a wrong position. It by definition is wrong. And those people really generally can't be convinced. I'm sure there's some exceptions of pro AI people who have watched my videos and been convinced. It's definitely not many. Most people who are pro AI are not going to be convinced by my videos. They believe in AI because of their own personal emotional reasons, and you cannot logic someone out of an emotional position. But the third kind of person is the people who are neutral. And when I say neutral, I don't mean actively neutral, like this liar who's actually pro AI and is pretending to be neutral. I mean someone who literally just hasn't thought about it that much. Someone who's just kind of scrolling through YouTube. Maybe they're younger. Maybe they're just someone who is kind of doesn't follow news and stuff as much. Maybe there's someone who's heard of AI but hasn't really seen what kind of issues it causes. And they come across my videos. They find it interesting that there's this like weird AI channel called Sponge Truce out there. And then they see it and then they get convinced and they understand the stuff. Those are definitely the people who are the most meaningfully changed by my videos. That's actual neutrality. This person is not neutral. They are pro AI and they're saying that they're neutral to make themselves sound more nuanced. In that AI has a lot of potential. Yeah, what's the potential? AI. See, I love what they say in that AI has a lot of potential. Like if you ask them about the potential, like, well, maybe they would say like it speeds up process in the arts. Like maybe they would say that, which is at least honest, but like it's wrong. So I don't know exactly what they would mean, but it's a very vague statement. And AI has a lot of potential. Not that they have much of an obligation to say their exact position, and when that's not what they're talking about, but it's still very vague. You know, has a lot of potential. You know, it's just, there's a lot to that. So to bring it up and to not elaborate, might be better to just not bring it up at all and just say your point about the Hank Green thing. But to see how some of the other subreddits saying how they never really liked him or call him lazy for using AI feels so odd to me. Okay, I don't really know about never really liked him, but lazy for using AI, yeah, that's deserved. That's deserved. You got around your job. Your job was supposed to take more work, and you used AI for the purpose of doing less work. That is definitionally lazy. It is frustrating how this issue has basically turned into virtue signaling, and even considering the positives of AI is an awful thing. Yeah, it's just, you don't need to, people who are in the wrong position will often try to find certain reasons why their opposition can be wrong without having to actually debunk them, because they can't debunk them. So using the term virtue signaling, like it's not an invalid term for everything. There's definitely people who for real virtue signal. I don't think I've ever used that term unironically. Basically, when you say someone is virtue signaling, you are putting down their position. You are saying that the position that they are in favor of is not actually meaningful, and that you're only favoring that position for personal gain. So like, for example, this person is accusing people of being anti-Hank Green or criticizing Hank Green because they are virtue signaling. They're trying to show, oh, I'm so anti-AI, I'm so this. And maybe that might be true because, like, for example, I just said you should be a pure AI hater to show people that you are not an AI user. Like, for example, like my anti-AI videos help with my credibility. People watch me and feel confident that I'm not AI. That's scary on YouTube. There's so many creators where it's like you just look at them with a squinted eye all the time, and you're just nervous that your favorite creator is going to suddenly use AI, even if it's just for a thumbnail or a random visual. And then from there, it's like, well, are they using AI in their scripts? Are they doing this? You can't know. There's no way of knowing. And Hank Green only makes that scarier. All of these fans of Hank Green's, I mean, he's got over 3 million subscribers. So he's got a ton of fans. And to have this like just pop in, it's scary. So yeah, you kind of need to do the virtue signaling because we can't trust anyone anymore unless they do not exactly what I do, but unless they are explicitly against AI, it's really hard to trust people. And even Hank Green, it's like, you know, he says ChatGPT isn't smart. Like even he said anti-AI stuff. So it's even harder to trust there. Like, where do you even go from there? But Anyway, that's why this is a meaningless accusation of it's turned into virtue signaling. Like, this person just does not have a very good idea of how these certain issues work. And of course they don't, because they're pro AI. Like, they're clearly, you have to be at least some level of not intelligent to be pro AI. Just the truth. And I especially have grown tired of people making grandstanding gestures of AI as if it's going to bite the dust in a few years. Well, why? Okay, so I was saying that it wasn't like I didn't want to super get into them not deeply arguing that they just said flippantly AI has a lot of potential. Like, I think that does require a little bit extra reasoning, a little bit extra, explanation for why AI has a lot of potential. Like, what is the potential, blah, 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 blah. There's a lot that you should clarify, but I could kind of forgive just flippantly saying this. I mean, obviously, like, I think it's incorrect, so you shouldn't say it. But I mean, like, just in a more neutral argument sense, like, just saying this and not backing it up is like, like, I'd probably do an anti-AI equivalent of this at times in my long streams where I talk for a bunch of time. But this is like, you can't just say this and not make arguments. You can't just say, oh, it's virtue signaling. You can't just say, we're not considering the positives. You can't just say, people think AI is going to bite the dust and it's not going to. Like, you can't just say this stuff and not have a reasoned argument for why this is the case. Okay, why is AI not going to bite the dust in a few years? I mean, I don't think it's going to. I do think that we are, I mean, maybe bite the dust in a few years. I highly doubt that. Best case scenario, AI is very much diminished in a few years. I think that's actually pretty likely, especially, we're already kind of seeing it. The AI channels are not as popular. Like, people reject AI in things. I mean, you get dog walked for using AI. People get mad at anything that has AI. There's controversy. There's always something with it. So I think it could be kind of, but I don't think it's going to like go away. I think there's still going to be a part of this fight that's going to go on for a while. I don't think it's going to bite the dust in a few years. People have to attack his character because they have cognitive dissonance over the fact that they see themselves as scientifically minded progressives, and yet they have a knee-jerk reaction when they see the progressive science man using the results of scientific progress. So this is not an argument. You can see, these people never have real arguments. You can see it. The results of scientific progress. Like, notice how it's like a statement that kind of like sounds fancy, but it doesn't have an actual argument. They're not stating why the AI is good. They're not stating why it's helpful. They're not stating why this person should use it or any sort of stuff like that. Trust the science. Yep, these folks are mad. Like, question and settle reality. So this person is saying that there's a hypocrisy, that people who are to AI are usually progressive. So they're saying that it's a contradiction that the people who are progressive who say trust the science, like, climate change is real, or don't be an anti-vaxxer and all this sort of stuff, so they're saying that that's a contradiction, that we don't trust the science with AI. Saying that those things are the same. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of the people who were the anti-vaxxers, who said like, oh, you think everyone should have to get a vaccine, but you also say my body, my choice. You ever heard idiots say this? And the obvious rebuttal there is that my body, my choice only affects that one person's body, and not getting a vaccine affects everyone, And it's the same thing with this. It's like, trust the science with, yes, climate change and vaccines, where the scientific consensus is overwhelmingly in favor of there is climate change. Climate change is a problem. We need to deal with it. The scientific consensus is overall in favor of, yes, the vaccines are fine. Like, the only people who are like against vaccines are like crazy quacks. Like, there just isn't. There just is not real arguments for these things. And then you get to AI and it's like, trust what science? Trust what scientists? What scientific consensus is there that AI is good for making YouTube videos? Show me the scientific consensus that is as strong as vaccines work and climate change is real. Because I think that those scientific consensuses are a little stronger than AI is good for making YouTube videos. It's the same thing. Oh, they're mad. They have a knee-jerk reaction with the results of scientific process. Oh, trust the science. Yep, those hypocrites, blah, 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 blah. No real arguments. Nothing. Top 1% commenter. Oh, it's going to be good when they're a top 1% commenter on AI wars. Funny thing is, in many ways, he is anti-AI, not in the I want to blow things up sense or the I want to harass artists sense. Oh my goodness. Wow. The straw man. The straw man. I want to harass artists. Criticizing people is not harassing them. Did you know this? I want to blow things up. What has been blown up? What has been, show me what's been blown up. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Harass artists. But just in the sense that he thinks lots of uses of AI shouldn't be a thing and speaks intelligently about the potential harms of the tech. Yeah, he didn't have much of an argument beyond that. LLMs consolidate data for easy reference. Like Wikipedia, LLMs cite their sources. At least Gemini does. Like Wikipedia, LLMs can occasionally be wrong. Like Wikipedia. Teachers say you should never rely on LLMs while using themselves like Wikipedia. Okay, so this person is conflating it as it's just a way to research. That's what they're conflating it as. And as we just saw with my example, this is why I show people how AI works. I hate to waste the water doing it, but it is important. Like, see why I showed you? It doesn't do that. It tries to talk to you. It tries to give you more than what you ask for. It is not like Wikipedia. It's not trying to just give you the sources. It sucks you in and it tries to do more than that. Because if it didn't, it wouldn't have any reason to exist. If it was just like Wikipedia, then not as many people would use it. It wouldn't get hyped up in this whole like bubble of all this sort of stuff. It wouldn't exist in the same way if it was like Wikipedia. As far as I'm concerned, an individual using it for research is not really at fault for that. Okay, so this person fell for the it's just for research thing. So like this person just thinks that it just gives you research when it doesn't have all these other problems. Again, if it did just give you research, like that would be fine. If it actually gave you like a list of things, there could be problems with that too. But as we saw, that is not what it does. Why would he need to tell his viewers he used AI for anything? I don't know. I think you have a right to know as the viewer if someone used AI. And I think the very fact that he lied about it, that is a very big indication that he knows that it's wrong. The fact that he didn't even say, I use AI for research, like, why would you not bring that? Like, why is it that they had to go and look for tells? Like, why was it not that when he did this video, he talked for 1 hour and 32 minutes about why AI scares me? And he didn't say, I mean, it was 5 months ago, maybe he didn't use it at the time. But like he talked for 1 hour and 32 minutes about why AI scares me. And he didn't say, yeah, sometimes I use it for research. Like, did he? If he did, I'm wrong. Like if he did, like, let me know. Like I didn't watch this whole 1 hour and 32 minute, but the fact, like, I don't see anything here where it's like, oh yeah, Hank has been upfront about how he uses AI to research. Like he had to be caught doing it. Well, I think a better question would be, why would he need to tell his viewers why he used AI? Why would someone not tell your viewers? Why would you need to hide it then? Would I hide that I went on the SpongeBob wiki to look for the amount of times that the Krusty Krab got destroyed for my video where I ranked all the times the Krusty Krab got destroyed? Like, do I feel the need to hide that? Maybe it doesn't specifically come up. You know, it's not like I said in that video, I got all these from the SpongeBob wiki. But also at the same time, there isn't really a lot of people where knowing that came from the SpongeBob wiki would be a big deal to them. You know? Using AI to write your videos is something that would be a big deal to people in your audience. And because of that, you should be honest about it. You know, and I'm sure this person's position is they think, oh, well, like people would love to be honest about them using AI, but they just get bullied so much or they get so, and it's like, well, first of all, it's not bullying. People disagreeing with you is not bullying. But also like the reason that people criticize you for using AI when you use it is because they're correct and you shouldn't use it. So like, it's kind of hard to really see where you're coming from when like there's a reason that people criticize you for it. When people say AI has lots of potential, I'd love to hear why. There's never a piece of reasoning, coherent thoughts, or anything. It's just parroted as gospel and that's it. Minus 19 upvotes. Oh, I agree with this guy so hard. Let's see them try to argue it. I mean, it's pretty much the entirety of human knowledge you can interact with through natural language, so its potential shouldn't be all that hard to recognize. It's so not entirety of human knowledge. It's so not that. I just showed you how it works. And also, like, it's not you making it. This doesn't address that when you use it to write a YouTube video, there are artifacts from the AI that leak into your YouTube video that dilute your human intent. What does that have to do with interacting with the entirety of human knowledge? That's also kind of Wikipedia. is already the entirety of human knowledge you can interact with. I mean, it's not the entirety of human, nothing is the entirety of human knowledge. It's ridiculous. But like we already kind of had that. Oh yeah, and then it's compressed so omissions and mistakes are frequent, and on top of that, it gets biased by its owners. Happy you brought up the fact that they stole the whole corpus of human creativity, which is disgusting. Ha! This guy's so right. You asked for a coherent thought as to why people say it has potential, and I gave you the answer. Everything else you said has nothing to do with your original question. Sure, AI has downside. Nobody said it was perfect, but the flaws you mentioned have little to do with the technology itself, but are flaws as we as humans possess. Oh, see, that's another logical fallacy. Oh, well, like it's not the technology itself, it's how people use it is the problem. Okay. Who's going to be using it then? You know, this is like the people who say like, well, you know, there's all the AI scams and the AI channels and the things that are trying to get your attention. But like, if you just use it responsibly, it won't do that stuff. Okay. How do we stop the people who are going to use it irresponsibly? What is the meaningful way that we can stop people from using it irresponsibly? The only way I could think of is banning it outright for everyone. And although those might be valid concerns, humans being flawed doesn't mean the technology itself can't have merit. Kind of does, actually. It depends on the technology. People say AI has so much potential because it can potentially do literally anything. Messiah complex. This is a Messiah complex. So let's forget about potential uses and talk about things that it's already capable. It can summarize content. Summarize content is bad. You don't want it to summarize content because you're not, like I said about the difference between me watching the episode of the show I'm reviewing and AI summarizing it. It just makes it like, or that one guy, there was one guy very early on in this channel where I said there was a guy who said he like read 75 books because AI summarized them. So let's say you use AI to summarize a book. Oh, okay. Like it's just taking out all of the stuff in the book that isn't important. But here's the thing. If there was something in a book that wasn't important, it wouldn't be in the book. That's what a book is. It's all the stuff that's important to the subject that the book is about. This is why people who write books have editors, to take out all the stuff that's not important, so that the final book has stuff that's important. So there's no reason to have AI summarize content or translate it to another language. That's not like, that's a translator. You're adding something to the list that is not the thing that he is talking about. That's the problem. Or simplify it to help you understand something complex. So summarizing it. Okay. All right. So here's 3 things that AI could do. Here's 3 great uses of AI. Summarizing stuff. Translating stuff to other languages. Summarizing stuff. Cool. And real quick, I'd like to give a thank you to my Patreon supporters and channel members. If you'd like to support the channel and get your name up here, either join below for channel memberships or for Patreon, which has some extra perks, check the link in the description. It can function as a sounding board to bounce ideas off of. Don't do this. Your ideas will be garbage if you do that. Only do that with people. You will get worse results. This incentivizes you to not interact with other people. This weakens human communication. Oh, but I don't have any friends to show my short story to. Make some. Find people to do it. You are not... Anything that you think you are the exception to with, oh, I can use AI because I'm the exception, you are putting yourself down for no reason. You're like, why should you, because you don't have as many people who are supportive of your writing, why do you have to have the worst way of bouncing ideas off of something with the robot that's going to make your work stunted and worse? Why do you have to do that? But people who do have that support system can do it with people and get a better product out of it. Why does it have to be worse for you? You know, I just think it's weird that there are people who think less of themselves, that they have to bounce ideas off of the... And let's be real, most of the time, like I'm sure there are people who genuinely don't have a very good circle. And, you know, there's so many different circumstances. Everybody's lives are different. Let's be completely honest. Most people who want to use AI as a sounding board to bounce ideas off of could find a real person to do so with. And they don't do it because they're antisocial, because they don't want to share. They don't want to put their stuff out there. They're afraid of getting feedback from a real person. It's a problem with them. It's not the world was unfair to them. I know that's definitely possible for some people, but we gotta stop treating everyone with kid gloves and say it's not your fault. You know, sometimes it is your fault. Sometimes you just need to be more social, or create a list of ideas to help you brainstorm. Don't do this either, because then the only ideas that you will use, like imagine if I did that. Let's do it right now. Let me refresh this. Let's do it right now. Let's see. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you an actual list of videos that I'm planning on doing. Ranking every time Squidward's house was destroyed. Ranking every time a SpongeBob character went to jail. Ranking every Family Guy parody episode. Ranking every Christmas Carol movie adaptation. These are some of my big ideas. Okay? This is just 4. Here's just 4 of my ranking every videos. Okay? I run a YouTube channel that covers SpongeBob, Family Guy, and sometimes movies. I need some help with video ideas. Deep dive and lore analysis. How SpongeBob quietly became a workplace sitcom. The fall and rise of Peter Griffin. Has he gotten better or worse? SpongeBob versus Family Guy, who handle movie parodies better. No villains are safe. Video. Movies that feel like extended Family Guy cutaway gags. What happens when animation directors direct live action movies? The darkest episodes in kid cartoons and animated shows. Ranking every SpongeBob era, golden age versus modern. Top 10 references in Family Guy you might have missed. Do you just feel how generic these are? Like, you're just limiting yourself so much. And maybe there's like certain ones that are here. I mean, it's stealing from actual creators. Like, maybe someone can make a good video about movies that feel like extended Family Guy cutaway gags. But if you get that idea because you asked an AI to give you a list of ideas, it's not coming from the right place. Look at my ideas here. Ranking every Family Guy parody episode. It's going to be a huge project. I'm really excited for it. I came up with this idea when I was actually talking about the Family Guy episode, the recent viewer mail episode, viewer DMs, and they did the Lord of the Rings parody. And I thought, what if I ranked every Family Guy parody? Like, what if I talked about which ones were the best, which ones were the worst, all that sort of stuff. And I came to that idea through like my own organic thoughts. If you are asking AI for ideas, there is something wrong with you as a creative that you need to address. You need to address why you're not creative enough to come up with your ideas. If you need an AI to tell you that you need to do a video on the fall and rise of Peter Griffin, then you are not going to do a good job writing that video because you weren't introspective enough to even come up with that idea in the first place. So if you're not a good enough creative to even come up with ideas, coming up with ideas is the easy part. So you got bigger problems. You might as well just have AI write the whole video for you. If you can't come up with the idea, well, actually, you either should learn how to come up with the idea or not be a creator. Hopefully just learn to come up with ideas. I believe in people's ability to succeed. If you're having trouble searching for something online or remembering a piece of media you've seen previously, it can aid in the search. So can any search. It can create or edit images to the specifications of the user. Okay, ruining the arts. Like, you lose whatever image is created loses human intent. They are not, that's bad. That is a bad existence. I do not want this to exist. Creating or editing images. It can generate a song using your, oh, this person's really pro AI. If you actually are okay with AI generating music, it's baffling to me. Like, you have to have depression to think that. And I don't say that to be like, you must, I mean that out of genuine concern. The amount of contempt that you must have for your own emotions to not understand the human emotional impact of music to the point where you would be okay with music being generated by a computer. I'm not saying this to be like flippantly like, you must be mentally ill. No, I'm saying you have a genuine issue and I'm worried about you if you say this. I was like ripping on this person. I actually am genuinely worried. Like I actually feel bad for this person. Like I want to say with the most amount of empathy, as much as I think that it's terrible that this person is arguing for this and that they are like making the world worse by arguing so in favor of this, that just breaks my heart. I'm so like the fact that there's a person out there that feels this way about music, it makes me sad. No matter how much I disagree with them, that makes me sad. Like it does. I can't even continue being harsh on this person because I just like that actually is that actually just makes me feel so sad for this person. Or even just following your prompted vibe create its own lyrics. Okay, now it's just saying that, dude, okay, another problem with this argument is like the person who argued this knows that AI makes images. I'm sure like you're responding to them, like you're educating them that it can create images. They know it can create images. They're saying it's bad that it creates images. It can help in research fields such as math. Okay. Math, like that's calculator stuff. We've had calculators for 80 years. Like it's, well, we've had calculators for longer than that. I guess the abacus is a calculator. So I guess we've had calculators for thousands of years. But, like machine calculator, we've had it for a very long time. So this is not an argument in favor of generative AI. That's just a more advanced calculator. It's not the same. Or medicine can help detect cancer before. Oh my goodness. They brought in the cancer argument. Oh my goodness. Are you serious? Dude, in what universe is a machine that can detect cancer cells means that it's okay that it makes images that trick your grandma into buying drop shipped crappy items? I don't understand how that is a defense of that. I also want to address the term purity testing. I think that's where I'll end off. No one actually addressed purity testing. This person said the word purity testing and then they didn't bring it up. But purity testing is basically the idea of if you aren't X thing, then you should be ridiculed. And I got to say, I mean, I know purity testing is a derogatory term, but I'm in favor of it. Yeah. Someone uses AI, it should mess up their credibility. And I'm glad that it did. I'm glad that this messed up Hank Green's credibility. I think that it should. The fact that this is a big controversy is very good. That is very good that people reacted this way to it, All right. Let's move on.